Hey guys, welcome back. Romney Navarro, Streamline Funding here. This is the last of the 5Cs, and I couldn't be happier about which C we're going to be talking about because this is the big one right now. Credentials. Credentials, one of the synonyms of credentials is experience. And right now, in today's day and age, more bankers, more capital partners are putting more emphasis on credentials than ever before. Funny kind of how things evolve. We're a dozen years or so into a bull market, real estate bull market. We've had our little dips here and there, don't get me wrong, but we've been going strong for 12 years. Things are just flying, still flying. Okay, this is being filmed in 2022 for some context. If this was being filmed in 2008, things weren't flying. 2010, things weren't flying, but now they are. So here's why I think credentials are so important. As a real estate investor, generally speaking, you're going to be looking at deals that are riskier than that of a consumer. A consumer is, John and Susie, the homeowner. John and Susie, the homeowner, want to buy their first house. They're going to get an FHA loan. They're going to get a conventional loan, whatever type of loan. And they get their loan and they make that payment for the next 30 years. Maybe not so much the case today, but they're going to keep that payment because that's the home over their head. That's an easy deal to bank on. That deal is going to pay on time every time, 99 times out of 100. A real estate investment, however, a little bit different. A real estate investment, it's not your home, okay? It's an investment. It's something that you can have to continue to pay on. Well, when things get tough, when income gets strained, when assets get tight, what do you think is the first thing a person stops paying from a banker's kind of point of view? Is it going to be their home where their family lives, or is it going to be their investment property? Okay. 9 times out of 10, if not 100 times out of 100, they're going to stop paying on the investment property because they need a place to live. This investment can go somewhere else. So credentials, why is it important right now? Because the people that have felt the squeeze at some point in their career know how to walk out of a problem. Every single real estate investment deal, and this goes without fail, every single real estate investment deal that you'll ever do is going to hit a hurdle. It's going to hit an obstacle. It doesn't mean it's going to be bad. More often than not, they're wonderful. But just like any job, just like any business, just like any operation, nothing goes according to plan. You lay out a plan, and most of the time you hit the end result. But between here and the end result, there's a million things that could go wrong. An experienced real estate investor knows how to navigate those kind of rough and choppy waters. A brand new real estate investor may very well freak out, exit, and leave the lender holding the bag. So when I talk about credentials, I'm talking about your experience in this game. Earlier, I was talking about the other C's. Collateral, that's the big one. We all know that one. Then we talked a little bit about credit, I believe in this order too. We went to cash, and then finally character. If any of those 4 things are lacking an investor's appetite, credentials, especially right now, can absolutely move you to the top of the list in terms of consideration. Because any lender today, any private lender in the United States today is going to bet on experience, on the operator versus the idea. I hope that makes sense. We would any time of the day bet on the person who has done this before versus the guy that has the most enthusiasm for a first timer. It's crazy how things have changed. When I first got into this business, about 80% of the decision was based on the collateral. It's like if the property's good, we're safe. Well, today, now as we fast forward into like a more robust industry with a lot more capital resources and whatnot, I would say 20 to 25% of the decision is currently looking at the collateral, whereas another 20 to 25% is looking at the credentials. Whereas any one of those 2 things can really change the course of a deal. So when we're talking about credentials, not only are we talking about experience, but we're talking about it from a standpoint of if they have lived through something a little bit choppy in the past, they should navigate correctly, out of whatever that storm may be in the future. I would say probably one of my number one client in terms of deal flow has paid us off, I think something to the tune of 150 times. The difference between that guy and the guy who's calling me for his very first deal, very different, is I kind of do whatever he wants. because he always seems to work his way out of the deal. Whereas the first guy, the one that's going to do his very first deal, needs to learn and needs to get a couple of practice swings under his belt or his or her belt. So it's always preferable to a lender to lend to somebody with some experience. The only other thing that I would say as it relates to experience, and this is a real one too, and this is one that we certainly practice as a firm. Look, every deal is going to have a different degree of difficulty. So if you're bringing something that's a 0 out of 10 or 1 out of 10 degree of difficulty, very likely we're going to be very helpful and help you work through this deal, give you a loan. But if you're going to bring us a 10 out of 10 on the degree of difficulty scale, it's very likely that we're not going to do this deal because it requires a different type of operation. It requires some experience. So a simple flip for, say, $25,000 in renovation, by the way, $25,000 might get you some new flooring and, a cleaned up kitchen. That's it. Versus a $10 million new build, the experience factor is tremendous there. So we need to have people that have been experienced in something similar to what they're looking to invest in now versus somebody who is just trying to, come up in this game, which is absolutely part of the deal. We want people to come up in this game, but we want them to come up gradually. So start with a $25,000 flip, eventually get to the $10 million multifamily. If you're not at the $10 million multifamily level just yet, then you either have to start in the beginning or, as I mentioned in the last one, and this is true for all of these things, it's time to partner up. This is a great place. Experience is a great place to partner up with somebody because if you have some level of experience, you're a good operator. You've just never conquered a beast quite the size of what you're looking to conquer right now. The one way to just make that deal happen, and this is the silver bullet, by the way, guys. So if you're looking to do your first multifamily deal, you're looking to do your first self-storage deal, anything bigger than what you've been accustomed to, all you need is a partner. Okay? Get that first one under your belt. Now you have the credentials and now you can soar. So credentials, incredibly important to us. It's not the most important thing because none of them are the most important thing anymore. The game has changed. We are all looking to do good business. So we're all looking at every one of these 5 C's differently. But generally speaking, we're all looking at the 5 C's to make a determination. Is this a good investment? Speaking of which, I hope these last 5 episodes, in this series of the 5 C's of underwriting have been a good investment for you guys. I certainly wish we had a little bit more time to get in more depth, ask questions, so on and so forth. As we post these out there, I definitely want to get some involvement from you, ask questions so that I could respond and tell you exactly how we see the world. But it's been a pleasure speaking to you over the course of, however long it's taken you to consume this. And I definitely look forward to sharing more with you as a resident expert for Think Realty, and hopefully helping you build up that real estate investing career you've always wanted. Cheers.